All right, man. So Russell Westbrook is finalizing a buyout with the Utah Jazz, and reportedly he plans on signing with the Clippers. Now, this video isn't going to be too long. I actually have a video that I'm working on for later this week, so look out for that. But this is Russell Westbrook, so I had to drop my quick thoughts on this. Let me start with the possible positives. Now, I don't know if Russ is going to be starting. I don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to get, what is specifically Ty Lue's strategy with Russ, so I'm kind of just assuming with this video. But if anything, Russ gives this team some type of alpha leadership presence. And remember, I said that because I'm actually going to come back to that with the negatives. Maybe I just have PTSD and I just can't unsee what happened in the bubble. But even when I watch the Clippers to this day, I still see flashes of that series versus Denver. Like when stuff hits the fan and that lead starts to decrease and Kawhi and PG resorts to ISO your turn, my turn basketball, and the need of a point guard becomes more glaring, and Kawhi and PG, who aren't really alpha personalities, kind of lifelessly go through the motions. I still see that. Example, a few weeks ago against Milwaukee, they're leading the majority of the game, and in the fourth quarter, they just collapse and both of their superstars fold. The next game, they play the Knicks and damn near do the exact same thing and luckily escape in overtime. Then they play Dallas without Luka Doncic and Kyrie's debut, and they do the same thing. Kawhi gives you nothing in the fourth quarter. I just feel like I see too much of that for that team, and they don't have no leader to kind of give them that spark. I'm not saying Russell Westbrook is a lifesaver, but he can give you a little bit of juice when stuff hits the fan. Kawhi is obviously a superstar talent, but it seems like in pivotal, crucial moments, when his game isn't on, specifically a shot, the team kind of follows. Paul George, the same thing. Russ, if anything, for better or worse, he's going to be first team all energy, and I feel like they can use that. Another positive. We know how much of a disaster Russ was with the Lakers, mainly because of what they lost to bring him in, and they couldn't surround that core with the adequate pieces. It was always a nasty fit to begin with, but you lose pieces and it's going to be even worse. This is a much better fit. The Lakers trading for Russell Westbrook never made sense. He's a ball-dominant point guard that facilitates the offense. The Lakers already had that, so taking Russ out that role just exposed how limited his half-court skill set always was. But now the Clippers, a team that desperately needs that, they have some type of floor general. I thought it was going to be John Wall, we all did, but he's so bad defensively that he's quite literally unplayable for a championship team. In fact, if you want to see how bad of a signing John Wall actually was for that team and why he's probably on his way out the league, with him this season, they were 15-19. When he didn't play, they were 18-9. Granted, he played a lot of his games without Kawhi or PG, but look at his plus minus. They were significantly better when he wasn't on the floor. Russ, at this stage of his career, is a much better defender. They're both pretty terrible shooters, but at least Russ is a lot more explosive when driving, so he can create a bit more spacing for their shooters, I believe. I'm hoping so. And going back to the fit, at this point in Russ's career, he's best at driving to the basket and either finishing, getting fouled, which may not be the best thing because he's not the best free throw shooter anymore, but that's besides the point. Throwing that alley-oop to AD, to me, they had an underrated connection, or creating an open look for one of his shooters. Look at the Lakers' key players on catch and shoot threes. In comparisons to the Clippers, it's a night and day fit for exactly what Russ provides. So on paper, it makes a lot of sense. Now let me get to the negatives. Russ is a damn alpha. I told you was going to hit that again, but at this point of his career, that specific trait is a double-edged sword. I stand by calling Russ one of, if not the most delusional player that I've ever seen in my personal life. So I don't think he's going to the Clippers humbled. Like, I don't think it's in Russ's DNA to see the writing on the wall that, damn, I'm on my 5th team in 5 years and I just got bought out as a former MVP. He's not built like that. Russ is a pretty proud athlete, and I believe he's going in there thinking, we just formed a new big three in the West. Paul George had his best season with me. I averaged a triple-double 3 times with this guy, and we just added a 2-time finals MVP with Kawhi Leonard. Let's run this thing. Not mad at him for it. That's what made Russ Russ. But that could be a little difficult for the Clippers long-term this season. Again, Russ is a very proud athlete, and he wears those accomplishments on his sleeve, so he doesn't always take critical coaching the smoothest. I thought Frank Vogel last year was too nice to him, and Russ didn't quite understand that and kind of bashed him on his way out. I didn't really like that. This year, I give him credit for taking the benching with Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham benched him, put him on the bench as a 6-man, and he took that willingly, but it wasn't the smoothest. Early in the season, I believe in the preseason, he tweaked his hamstring because he was coming off the bench and he said he wasn't used to not starting. Throughout the season, in the fourth quarter, when Russ wasn't in the game, he wouldn't really be on the bench. He would be on the bike warming up. I don't even know how you sub in and out quickly if Russ is on the bike. So you still kind of felt the dissatisfaction of Russ not playing when he probably felt like he should have been playing. That's all a part of the Russ package. Luckily for the Clippers, Ty Lue has coached some big egotistical athletes, mainly Kyrie and LeBron. So he's been there before, but he hasn't really had to bench them and make ego-crushing moves like he will likely have to do with Russ. I'm interested to see how that looks. Another slight possible negative for that team, at the end of the day for me, the playoffs is about how many stops you can get defensively and who has the most players that can create their own shot. Meaning, when stuff hits the fan in the playoffs, Kawhi and PG will isolate and display their offensive bag. When that happens and when they share the court with Russ doing that, I want to see how the spacing is going to look offensively with Russ's defender not respecting him as a perimeter shooter. That can be a little interesting as well. In conclusion, Ty Lue is going to be earning his checks for these last few months. Like, Russ is probably going to play big minutes since they lost Reggie Jackson and John Wall, so they don't really have no type of point guard. So he's probably going to play big minutes. But at least the Clippers didn't really lose anything to get Russ. They're not obligated to him because they're not paying him a lot of money. And that team is loaded. So Ty Lue can be a lot more creative with his lineups than Darvin Ham or Frank Vogel could because they have a lot of depth. That's the good part. These are just my quick thoughts on this move. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about this move. I think it's a low risk, slightly possible high reward move. I don't see the Clippers doing much because if Russell Westbrook is your floor general, I just don't think it's going nowhere. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't think it's going nowhere. But if you like the video, follow my social media sites. Do that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.